Have you ever watched somebody stand on one leg to do something like an arabesque or just get in and out of the tub or maybe even just go up the stairs and watch their ankle roll to the side? Ugh, it's scary, right? In this video, I'm going to talk about what we need to look at to help correct that movement and what possibly may be going on up the chain. This is video one in a five-part series. And in the next videos, I'm going to talk about a movement screen that can help determine whether or not you need to work on balance, mobility, or strength. We're going to talk in the next video about the exercises to do to help correct that movement pattern. And we're going to talk about strength work that you can incorporate once you've got the control down to help make all of that better. And then we'll talk about skill so that you can get back and do everything else that you want to do, like easily go up and down the stairs, or hey, pull an arabesque double out of your hat and rock the cheer floor. So, if you don't know me, I'm Laura Turner, and I'm a doctor of physical therapy and I'm a strength coach. And I help coaches and trainers and cheer moms to analyze their athletes' movement and help them progress and be active and do everything they want. So, let's get on with it. When you see somebody that rolls onto the edge of their feet, that is more of a supinated position in their ankle. Now, a very brave cheer mom posted this in a crazy cheer moms Facebook group. It's a great question. What do I do to help this? And should she be doing something up in the air? My short answer is no, she shouldn't. If she can't maintain that balance and get her foot flat, she's just going to have a hard time having her bases control her foot, and she's always going to be toppling off to the side. This problem could be because of the foot, or could be because of the hip needing some stability, could be mobility, or it could be stability. And we just don't know without more information than just looking at a static picture. We have to watch people move. If we don't see them move, how they go from one position to the next, how she went from two-legged stance up into an arabesque. We don't know what the precursor is there. Actually, was there a movement change, or when she's standing there, does she just end up rolling? Because that'll determine a lot of what happens. In this video, we're going to talk about foot mechanics and what's normal, what's not, and we'll talk about how that affects the hip and all the way up the chain. So let's start with the foot. When you're standing, whether it's two leg or one leg, you want to have 3 points of contact with the floor. You want the knuckle of the big toe, the knuckle of the pinky toe, and the center of the heel. They should make a nice tripod as you're standing. Whether you're standing in the air, if you're practicing a single leg stance, if you're climbing the stairs, when that foot is flat on the floor and your leg is extended, your foot should be making 3 points of contact. When you walk, that contact shifts. So throughout the whole gait cycle, we start with heel strike, then we go to foot flat, where all 3 points of contact, and then we go to 2 points. So 1 point, 3 point, 2 point. You don't need to know all the mechanics of that, but the key when we're standing is really, do we maintain good contact there? If somebody overpronates, which is the opposite of what this particular girl is doing, and their foot rolls in and they don't have that control to get to roll out, it's going to limit their push off when they're walking. It's going to limit how they swing through. That's why people are so paranoid about, I pronate and I was told I need to have inserts in my shoes because I pronate. Pronation is normal. You should pronate. You should pronate as you are going through that gait cycle, but you have to have the control to resupinate. And that is lifting that center of the foot. In that resupination, we still maintain those toe contacts. So what happens if somebody's losing that? It could be any loss of range of motion. How do we check this? So we can go through things like the Y balance test. We can go through a single leg stance test. We can look at your CTISB, which is a balance test that we look at in the clinic, where you're standing on foam and you're closing your eyes. You can look at half kneeling, which will tell us, is it coming from the foot or is it coming from the hip? And then we can look at your ankle dorsiflexion, where we will see, do you actually have that range of motion? And where does your knee track over your toes? Because as you bend your knee, we want it to track kind of between that first and second toe. If it tracks too much inside, that's too much, and that knee is going to cave in. If it tracks too much outside, the knee is going to cave out. When we supinate, it rolls again to that outside portion, but we still maintain those 3 points of contact. So if someone is over supinating, like this particular girl was, it could be because she's weak in through the hip and she's kind of dumping out laterally into that hip. and that makes the foot come up. It could be just body awareness that she's just not sure of where her body is in space and how to correct that. So it may be a matter of just reintroducing contact with the floor. You can take a sticky pad and put that under and just get her to stand there and make sure as she goes from a single two-legged stance to a single leg stance, that big toe stays in contact. You can place it underneath that inside portion. That's generally what people like. Play around with what feels best, and we can see if we wedge it underneath the big toe on the inside, does that make the most contact? Do we put it underneath the toes and that makes the most contact? But again, just coming down onto the knuckles. So that's one tip to be able to correct and see, can she go from two legs to one leg, maintaining that 3 points of contact? If not, try a wedge underneath. If you don't want to use sticky notes, because those can be a little iffy, I use a face cloth sometimes, and I use a pillowcase and fold it up. Just the minimum amount to be able to give some feedback, some proprioceptive feedback from the foot, the ground up to the foot. It helps to make contact and reintroduces the brain what it feels like to make that contact. As we progress and we get things stronger, that will help to be able to do that without on the floor. I also, in the clinic, will look at what the pelvis does. I'm going to look at anterior and posterior tilts, and I'm going to look at a hike and drop to see, does one side drop higher or lower than the other? Can they weight shift side to side? And can they rotate? And then I look at what does the foot do in all of those positions. There is normal motion. When we are tipping the foot from a posterior tilt where you're tucking your bottom under, you get a little bit more pressure in the heel. When we are doing an anterior tilt, we get a little bit more pressure in the ball of the foot. When we go side to side, we look at that lateral motion and that supination pronation. When we do the shift, it's the same thing. Are they actually rolling too far on either way? And do they roll in? Can they pronate? And then in rotation, the same thing. As you turn to the left, the foot is going, this is a right foot. So if I turn to the left, my right foot is going to roll in, or should roll in. If I come and I turn to the right, it should roll out. But again, it shouldn't be rolling out, so the foot's losing contact. That big toe should stay flat. In the next video, I'm going to show you the different tests, and I'll include those anterior and posterior tilts and the hip hike and drop and the side-to-side motion and the rotation, so you can see them as well and see what the foot is supposed to look like. We figure out what they can do. We find out, okay, what's missing? What is the biggest limitation? Is it actually mobility? Is it coming from their pelvis? Their pelvis mimics what happens at the talocrural joint, so that tells us what's happening at the ankle. We can determine, is it actually they need a little bit more range of motion in their ankle because they can't get themselves to get into that pronation. The foot doesn't want to go there, which might mean they have to get into PT and do some mobility work, or it might mean they have to just get in and do some rocking and joint mobility and loosening the ankle up. Or is it more of a stability issue? Do they need to work on creating stability in their glutes? I'm going to go through exercises such as a single leg bridge. I'm going to go through corrective exercises that look at a clock exercise. We'll talk through a whole mess of exercises. So creating stability or mobility. That's going to be eventually get to be the warm-up. Right now, that might be what she focuses on, your athlete focus on, and just resetting how your body is perceiving that motion. Once they have better control and we find out, is it a core issue? Is it an ankle mobility issue? Is it a stability issue in the hip? Then we can come up and get into strength. We should be able to do the corrective exercises and then get right into a strength program that's not limiting them from progressing on. They might not be able to do advanced exercises, so we may need to regress a little bit, and always a way that you can get them creating more strength on top of better quality movement. And that's the key thing. Find the quality movement so that we can move better and feel better and get stronger to do all the other things. Once we get through the strength exercises, in that video, I'm going to talk single leg deadlift, step up exercises, and a half kneeling chop and lift. We'll talk those through because those will all help improve the balance, improve stability as well. And after that's when we can worry about how do we train the skills, get them working on a stunt stand, get them working on a BOSU, because that's going to create that advanced stability. Once they can do that solid on the ground, then we take it to the air. So I 100% think this particular girl should not be flying in the air yet. She's got a beautiful arabesque from the waist up and from she's at her knee. But that ankle is going to create a lot of problems when she's standing on an uneven surface like two hands. And that might be the same thing for you. If you are walking on the grass outside, if you're hiking and you're trying to step over a log, you want to make sure that you have enough control to be able to do that and transfer your weight so that you stay upright and you don't go toppling off. When somebody stands more to the outside of that foot, you can see how if I go this way, this is my tibia, my lower leg has to go in to maintain that. And then my hip, my femur has to go out. And so we create that lateral push. And if somebody's on that one leg here, they're going to topple over and fall off to the side. So creating better stability awareness through the foot on the ground will help to transfer in the air. And that doesn't mean that we just practice just standing. It's definitely going to be helpful in creating that awareness, but we have to do the work further up the chain to help make that be stable. All right. Hope that was helpful in this video. Please stay tuned. I'm going to share next, I'm breaking this up because I don't want it to be a 2-hour video for you. Go check out video 2, and I'll see you in the next video.